Look out the window between the blinds to see what Lori Smith claims she sees every night, the fearsome cryptid known only as the Dog Man. Lori's fearless cat always looks out the window when it comes around, ready to take the Dog Man head on, unafraid to stare back into its glowing yellow eyes.
They're out there.
Alright, I will admit that I was 100% ready to disprove this video. I knew that this was just the mirror image of the cat's eyes reflecting back due to a weird camera angle, but then I got to this part at 1 minute and 55 seconds and knew I was wrong. Watch very closely. She gets the cat's attention. The cat's head turns.
Kiki, come here, Kiki girl.
1 second later, at 1 minute and 56 seconds, the cat is looking the other way, and yet the eye remains staring straight ahead. For years, I've been seeing scary video after scary video of the same looking person peeping into the window with their hands blocking out the light, and I think I finally found the source. This oh my gosh TV video dates back to 2016, and in it, you can see a close-up of this creepy rubber head that you put up to the window to make it look like a stalker is peeking. It's supposed to be a practical joke that definitely freaks people out and gets the job done, as Omar's own wife couldn't tell it was fake. So I did some research and found out this is actually a prop called Scary Peeper that you can find at many stores online. It's years later and people still continue to copy the style of this video, so I just wanted to debunk the rumors. If you've ever seen a video on YouTube of a person looking into the window with their hands clumped to the glass in a very specific way, like this, you can rest assured knowing that the video is almost definitely a prank. Parsnips and Parsimony is a wholesome family vlog YouTube channel, and not where you'd normally think to go to get your daily dose of horror. But in one vlog, they encounter something on their window that's pitch black and looks full of pus. I think the bottom might be moving during these two scenes, but it could also be the shaky camera.
And I have no idea what it is. That is what it looks like.
Anyway, they decide the only way to diagnose this find is to slice it open, but no answer lays in its oozing black insides. Is this a plant, animal, alien, or what? If you remove mold or something for a living, let me know what's going on here. The foreign substance breaks into slimy black clumps with no shape and no smell, or at least none they remark on. To this day, they have no idea if this was mold or not, and describe it only as a slimy something. If this is what the mold growing on the outside looks like, imagine what's on the other side of the walls. There's an older man who's looking out the window at Jacob Hessler and his friend, and it's freaking them out how he keeps leaving the spot and coming back to stare some more.
He's looking over, and now he walks away.
Some people suggest that the old man is simply looking at them because they were looking at him, and that they should just leave him alone. But this scenario still requires the old man to look out of his window in the middle of the night to notice they were there in the first place, which is odd. Maybe they were being loud or something, but the way they keep their voices low makes me think they were probably being quiet the whole time. So as it stands, this is a mysterious exchange without words and without explanation. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Danny is checking out a chapel cemetery that is so haunted. They only feel comfortable approaching by day. They have all been here before, but this time they are disappointed to find that commercial locks are in place and that everything looks to be boarded up. Still, they are determined to get inside, and they keep moving along the perimeter, searching for another way in. After a while, the camera person feels watched and makes the mistake of looking up.
How come you're not getting through them boards, eh?
He's there!
Watching over them is a frowning, pale figure with solid black eyes. I guess this could be one of their friends, but given the new measures taken to keep trespassers out, I don't see how this is possible. You would think that they would run at such a sight, but this encounter only makes them more determined to bust a new way inside, which they eventually do. They soon reach the interior steps and feel watched again. The figure is staring back at them from above once more, perhaps twice as displeased to learn they've gained entrance. This time, they all duck into a room and watch it silently pass. The thing retreats down a long hallway, but when Danny follows, it's the last glimpse any of them get of it before scattering. A YouTuber named Darwin Quesada gets no further than a single step into an abandoned house when he hears footsteps from inside, high heels to be exact. He and his friends are determined to find the source of the commotion, so they climb the steps to the top floor. The footsteps resume and a swirling cluster of white orbs appears when these sounds, much worse than footsteps, catch them by surprise. They run down the steps at the sound of a door slamming somewhere unseen, but eventually convince each other to go back upstairs. They search every room and can't find where the footsteps are coming from, but then the footsteps grow louder, and 4 minutes is the exact moment the footsteps enter the room. They are in from behind and walk right past where they are standing. The group is besides themselves and giddy with fear at this point, because it sounds like they are now walking around inside of these cabinets, which is obviously impossible, and yet happening before their eyes. Darwin's initial relief that nothing is behind the door is swept away by horror when this happens. The third door swings open on its own, without a sound, and they all run away without getting a clear look inside. According to the title of this video, what they saw was a real phantom staring back at them. It's gruesome, the likes of which you or I cannot even begin to fathom. A light at the far end of a room is swinging by itself, when all of the other lights are as still as can be. Now, before you tell me that it's under a vent, let me show you the same room from a different angle. Look all the way to the ceiling where the fluorescent light is grounded. No vents anywhere. So what's the deal here? Am I missing something major? Or is this light swinging on its own momentum when there's nothing to make it move? Something is haunting this house, or at least that's what David Stenberg thinks based on his dog's Astrid's odd reaction. Sometimes he's fine with going into this bedroom, and sometimes he acts more like this.
What is the fucking matter? What is the deal?
Listen again. There's a really shrill scream that makes the dog recoil. I'm already convinced this could be a ghost, but this video is 100% real in my opinion. Based on what I'm about to show you next, I don't care how well you train your dog, there's no way to make him look up at you with a concerned expression and then get surprised. David tries to show Astrid that nothing is there by stepping inside, but Astrid is having none of it. I think his dog is telling him, in no uncertain terms, to get out of there now. Let me know if you agree.
Astrid, you're freaking me out. Come here. Come here.
A YouTuber named Nadeshot is talking about all of the haunted happenings at his apartment when this weird anomaly appears over his shoulder at 6 minutes in.
I'm not sure if you guys have ever experienced anything like this. I want you to tweet me and put in some comments any story that you guys have.
I was thinking it could just be the way light's coming in from his blinds, but apparently Nadeshot's house has been haunted by strange lights practically forever. Look at what happens when he leaves the camera on during a ghost hunt 4 years prior. First, it falls off its tripod without making hardly so much as a sound. And then the sweeper falls over. Followed by flashes of light that last for about the same length of time as the anomaly from the video before. An extravagant wedding in Brazil has plans for the bride to arrive by helicopter. She and her brother are waiting to surprise the groom and everyone else who are patiently waiting not too far away. The skies are gray and there's no visibility. I'm guessing the pilot was probably navigating by special flight instruments when one of them falls, as indicated by the buzzing noise that begins at 1 minute and 46 seconds and continues for 10 seconds all the way down. The camera is ejected from the helicopter and rolls into a field. The red seen on the grass is actually the flashing emergency lights of the helicopter. Truly a horrifying event. This clown puppet seems to be sitting up all on its own, though I guess somebody could be propping it up from behind. If it really is somebody off camera though, then please explain to me how this bright orange orb latches onto the clown's head 3 seconds into the video. The orb is just hovering in the pitch black darkness for a full 3 seconds, and then it attaches to the doll's hair as soon as it starts to move. That's too much of a coincidence for me. So do you think we're witnessing a spirit possess an inanimate object, special effects, or what? Lethal Gamers is a YouTube channel full of cool gaming videos, but one in particular is unlike all of the others, and not in a good way.
Look at this. There's a baby face clear as day in the window.
I don't know if it's the face of a baby or not, but I can see the eyes, nose, mouth, chin, neck, hair, and ear. It looks to be wailing in anguish. Lethal Gamers says that his floor is up way too high for someone to press their face against the glass. Beyond the reflection of his room is nothing but night sky.
Look, this is my kitchen window. Well, the crazy part is when I first looked at this, when I first saw the face, it looked like it was looking straight out, and now it looks like it's turned.
And get this, he also says that this face was looking the other way minutes ago, and 20 minutes after this video was taken, it was supposedly gone. But without the video proof, we'll never be able to explain if this was real or fake. A man in Coimbatore, India, is captured skulking around numerous neighborhoods, and in each video his eyes are pure white. Here he is looking in through someone's window when he suddenly senses the camera and turns around to reveal the same blank white eyes as before. Eyes with no traces of emotion or any color in the middle. Some people take the white eyes as evidence of an evil spirit acting within him, but I think more realistically it's probably just a camera with night vision. Either way, hopping over a fence to look at strangers hanging out in their own home is beyond creepy and makes me want to look over my shoulder right now to check my window. Hopefully he is caught soon before he takes it to the next level and climbs inside. The redwood fisherman catches something that looks like it would make you catch something if you were to touch it. He describes this strange and mysterious sea creature as nothing more than a pink worm thing. Nobody knows what to do when the bloated monster squirms off the rocks all by itself and begins crawling across the floor in hypnotic caterpillar-like motions. Look at its mouth here at 3 minutes and 43 seconds. What does it even eat? Whatever this is, I would say that it's about the size of a grown man's foot, judging from this angle taken at 3 minutes and 5 seconds, which isn't exactly humongous, but when something looks like this, I don't care how big or small it is, that's absolutely terrifying. So let's recap. A creepy pink larva that can live on sea and land and apparently just crawls away on its own. Yeah, I'm not sleeping. Let me know what this creature is so I can stop thinking about it. A student needs to leave during the middle of a hailstorm, so without thinking they grab the first thing they can find, which happens to be an aluminum foil pan, and charge out into the elements. Marissa follows behind another student to see what happens next, but they don't even get around the corner before they find themselves in just as much danger. Lightning strikes close enough to shut the power off and make some random people inside scream for their lives. Somehow the bolt of lightning misses the student's metal-covered head and they are okay, but still, I bet running out of there made it strike much closer to them than it would have otherwise. Moral of the story? I hope everyone has learned to stay safe in their room anytime it's like this outside. Something is way wrong with this store, and I want to know if it's fake or a real ghost. Tell me if this wire moves by itself, or if it's simply the way that it's been tangled up. An hour later, these items fall off the shelf, but they are stacked kind of weird and could have been slid off. Then, a full 10 hours later, 3 more items drop down, and a 4th falls from the back of the pile to the floor. Sure, they are round, but are they round enough to roll off the shelf with no one nearby? Seems unlikely. Maybe the shelves are unlevel, or maybe whoever stocked them is just piling them on top of each other to fall off later, or maybe it's a real ghost after all. Multiple cameras capture a UFO hovering over Jerusalem in 2011. The small moving ball of light glides over the building tops for a while, and then does a dazzling aerial maneuver that no human aircraft could ever possibly replicate. I would think this is CGI, but the same event was reportedly witnessed by numerous people who don't know each other. In this second video, you can see the ball of light is over the same domed building as the before, and abruptly flies straight up. I will admit that the UFO in the first video looks a little different than the UFO in the second video, but I think the first video was recorded with a digital camera, and the second was recorded with a cell phone from almost a decade ago, so that would explain the visual discrepancies. Michael Andurez is in a car full of friends when they hear a distant voice call out from the nearby woods. I didn't really hear much the first time I watched, but when they slow it down, you can clearly hear someone say something like, "Help me, guys." I think this could be paranormal, because it doesn't sound like a normal human voice at all. Theoretically speaking, a person screaming at a speeding car with the windows rolled up would almost certainly not be heard by anybody inside. This video, taken in Lottie, Florida, shows 2 mysterious government vehicles sticking close together as they head to an undisclosed location. No identifying information is written on the side of the trucks. The first truck has red and blue lights on the top, but the one behind it doesn't have any markings at all and could easily be mistaken for a civilian vehicle to the untrained eye. Both trucks are covered in thick armor, and each one has enough room in the back to serve as a mobile command station of some kind. Though for what purpose I can't say. People in the comments section of this video are suggesting everything from hazardous waste cleanup to mind control operations. One of the more convincing comments states that these trucks only are seen when a serious threat to national security is detected, like a nuclear device or worse. Again, I don't know what these vehicles are for, but if I saw one in my neighborhood, I would be worried, let alone seeing 2. A Miami woman was fast asleep on her couch when an unusually creepy looking woman decides to enter her home, captured on the homeowner's Canary home security system. This stranger was filmed the entire time she rummaged through this house. Even more odd is how this woman hovers over the homeowner on the couch, watching her sleep. I originally thought this video was fake because the stranger looks like the possessed girl in your typical scary movie, but the incident is 100% real and most likely wouldn't be believed without this footage. This individual was never caught or identified. A mother is mourning the loss of her child when a single white balloon floats over to her from his casket. Relief washes over her as she soon realizes this is almost definitely a sign of reassurance from her lost loved one. Look again and you'll see not only did this balloon start from her child's casket, it was also in front of a picture of him as well. It really is as if he is sending her a balloon to cheer her up and let her know that he still cares for her from the other side, perhaps even as a final gesture to help her let go. A YouTuber named Waffle Vlogs records a strange man standing outside his apartment home. According to Waffle Vlogs, this uninvited guest stood at his front door and then started walking the parking lot for a long time.
What is he doing out there?
He stares out at nothing for a while and eventually walks back to his car, which is a relief, but still doesn't explain what he was doing there to begin with. Waffle Vlogs seems just as confused as we are about what just happened to him. He thinks that he might have been getting his house cased out. I have no reason not to believe him. Do you? A YouTuber named Texas Savage has traces of paranormal activity left outside her bedroom door, or so she claims. Look at this part and tell me if you can see what she means, and if you can't see it, it's much more apparent in this next video of hers that I'm about to show. You can see it a bit better here, as she points out the individual fingers and notices the lack of a thumb.
Here's one, and here's one. But there's no thumb.
In this next video taken on a different day, you can get a better look at the handprint and see how long the fingers really were, far too big to be on her own. And since she claims to live alone, it can't be anyone else unless someone has been going into her bedroom without her knowing. On this day, she also finds some fresh scratches not too far from where the handprint is, and while inspecting the rest of her house, she finds 2 new marks at the bottom of her bathroom door that are perfectly aligned, almost like eyes. If you don't think this is real, then what do you think caused this? Just like all of the other markings, she can recall nothing happening in this room to make them appear overnight. A man in New Zealand is stopped at a gas station when this orange light rips by overhead in a perfect arc. It was accompanied by a high-pitched sound that broke the audio on his camera and hurt his ears. I don't think that it's car headlights, because it approaches from a weird angle, plus the way it moves is far from normal. This laboratory is said to be frequented by a spirit who is always near. Here you can see a door pull open by itself with no one standing on the other side. Just in case you were thinking someone could have opened it off camera, here is the same event from another angle, this time taken from the other side. No one is nearby, otherwise they would have cast a shadow on the wall, or else be visible in the reflection of the clean lab floor. Unless this door is controlled by a button we can't see, then there should be no way for it to open by itself. So what do you think? Is this real or just a staged video cooked up by a bored scientist at work? A woman has a full-on break from reality while on public transportation. She carries a full conversation with herself in some sort of laughing tone that only she can understand. Then she becomes absolutely overwhelmed with grief before snapping out of it. When someone approaches her to offer comfort, she switches back to laughter with a glare. The person wisely keeps their distance and does not come any closer. Next, the woman pulls out a dirty towel with stains and disappears into her own world, apparently laughing again. I really hope she gets the help she needs, because this seems like some sort of mental episode that needs to be treated fast. She and everyone around her are lucky that this didn't escalate to the point where someone had to physically intervene. It's late at night, well past closing hours, when the St. George's Theatre in Norfolk catches this mysterious disturbance on CCTV. It starts as small movements in the very corner of the far window, so slight at first that you hardly notice it's there until it leaves, only to return again and dart down the hall. At 28 seconds, it stops to look in through another window for 4 more seconds, then it's gone for good. A YouTuber named Jessie V and her sister Mandy are constantly hearing strange noises coming from the attic. They would have happily never gone up there, if not for their insistent fans who demanded to know the answer. They finally work up enough courage to take a ladder up there. Mandy goes up first and gets a really bad feeling. She's describing the general layout when they catch something that might have followed her back down. In a mirror on the wall is the reflection of a figure that is a quarter of the size of Mandy, whose much larger reflection can be seen right beside it. Whatever this is, it's standing right in front of both of them. Jessie turns the camera to reveal her father standing off to the side, but he is way too tall to be it. Also, this figure lacks any color or detail at all. Only later, when a commenter pointed out the creepy shadow person, did they go back and review the video. No answer was ever provided. A YouTuber named The Great records a paranormal encounter that he has never been able to explain. His son jumps into the water at 8 seconds, and a pair of phantom hands reach up to push him on the side. It's not his dad because, aside from looking like the hands of a child, you can see his father watching in the background. It looks like it has to be another kid, but when his son points the camera at himself to smile, nobody is near. Everyone is on the other side of the pool, and that's where they've been the entire time. Also, consider this. The father would have stopped his son from jumping if there was another kid right in front of them. Both he and his son look as though they have a clear path ahead before taking the plunge. An Uber driver is taking home 2 passengers when a car they have never seen before overtakes them on the left and then puts on the brakes. Before anyone has the chance to make sense of the situation, the other driver is already hurrying over. He taps on the window and orders the Uber driver to get out of his car, which makes the passengers panic.
What's going on?
I don't know.
What is that?
What's that?
You blew the right leg. Get the out of the car right now.
Just go, just go around.
Thinking fast, the Uber driver takes the right course of action by not getting out of his vehicle, driving away instead. They manage to escape and are ready to forget about the whole incident when they see his high beams on them again. That's when they make the second smart decision and get the police on the phone.
Call 911. Make a left here. Make a left here. Our car is following us. And he bangs on the window and said, get out of the car to the driver.
Eventually, they get pulled over and explain everything to an officer, who proceeds to speed away after dispatching a description of the vehicle to all other units.
It's hard for him to open the doors because they don't know how to open the door with the Tesla.
That's good.
So that actually works.
Okay, so see, now that's another benefit. Did he try to open the door?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The car that was chasing them is still nearby, and the driver is charged with being under the influence. Kudos to the driver for keeping his passengers safe and not responding with aggression himself. Had he gotten out of the car and into an altercation, he could have been charged with something or made the situation worse. A YouTube channel called Sailing Latitude is boating around the Italian island of Sardinia when a freak lightning storm breaks overnight, forcing them into survival mode. They try to outrun the storm at first, but the winds are much too strong and soon lightning is breaking directly overhead. Aside from getting zapped, a single bolt would be enough to fry their navigation equipment and leave them completely stranded at sea. The experienced navigator is able to visually estimate 2 areas where lightning is striking the most, and they sail between these 2 areas skillfully. In other words, they basically have no choice but to steer between 2 storms, and in doing so they almost get trapped in the storm multiple times, like here at 10 minutes and 15 seconds for example. To make matters worse, the winds could change at a moment's notice and bring the storm clouds even closer. Somehow they just barely managed to sail through the little pocket of clear weather, well flanked between 2 storms. Hours later, a calm sunrise greets them, as if it was all just a bad dream. A YouTuber named Sasha is enjoying her vacation in South Korea when she notices a clown in a dirty outfit and a wrinkled white mask is appearing in a lot of her shots. He starts out far away and gets progressively closer until he is practically breathing on her at times.
He looks creepy. Does he look at me?
Sasha plays it off like a joke at first, but when the clown follows her into the mall, she realizes that this is a real issue and she needs to lose him fast.
Because this strange guy he's here, and it's not funny. Look. He look at me.
She tries hiding, but when that doesn't work, she calls a passenger service to come pick her up just as the man switches from a walk to a run. I guess she doesn't know that the police number in Korea is 112, so she does the next best thing and runs away as the clown gains on her. Her ride pulls up just in time and she manages to escape. Even though Sasha didn't call the authorities, she still handled the situation well by getting away from this stranger as fast as possible. A clerk is ringing up a customer in Japan when the lights go out and the ground begins to shake. The customer freezes in place and doesn't know what to do, but the brave clerk drags her around the counter by the hand. Just as the worst of it comes, without looking, the heroic cashier pushes the customer's head under the counter to protect against the falling bottles breaking all around them. At one point, it looks like the shelves are going to topple onto them both, but thankfully, the store's infrastructure holds out. By the end of the video, the floor is covered with bottles that fell right where the customer would have been if she wasn't rescued at the last second. A YouTuber in Louisiana named Bravest tries to stay positive as his entire neighborhood fills with water, with everyone still trapped inside. What starts as some water in his backyard soon enters the home and becomes a total crisis. The YouTuber has the right attitude by not panicking. He puts on a brave face as he makes a video to help relieve the stress. At the same time, I can't help but notice the TV is still on. It's pretty high off the ground, but I think they should have shut off all power because any charge could electrify the very water that they're standing in.
Get the water around your house. Not that bad.
Eventually, when the water gets too high, they escape via canoe and road to dry land. If the family didn't have this canoe, then they would have been at the mercy of a rescue or one of their neighbors. Delbert Latham and his son are on a roller coaster with nowhere to go when his son's restraints fail and he falls all the way to the floorboards. Listen and you'll hear him say "my seatbelt" in a scared voice.
I got you. It's not, hey, you're fine, I promise, okay?
Delbert squeezes his child's waist and now an arm is the only thing keeping his son from flying off. He is squeezing as tight as he can and manages to keep his grip for the last major fall.
I got you. Hey, you're fine.
I think most parents would be flipping out, and I'm amazed how calm Delbert remains the entire time, especially considering how bad this could have gone. If the description for this video is to be believed, then the operator was aware of the faulty seatbelt and was letting people on board anyway, meaning his son was not the only one to experience this terrifying ride. Horrifying surveillance camera footage shows someone getting chased by a much bigger, much scarier person who slings them over their shoulder and drops them into a getaway vehicle. Police are calling this a suspicious incident because it looks more like it could be their last moments on Earth. They are in total fear for their life, so I don't think this is a family dispute. It's something way scarier than that. A YouTuber named The Real JP is renovating an old cellar when he notices something weird on the wall. A big bat flies straight at my face, he later writes. This large pipe is the only thing that keeps the bat from getting on him when it leaps from the wall.
I do not know where he went.
Hopefully it went out the cellar door. A flying ghost has been caught on home CCTV video, claims a man in India who uploaded this bizarre late night sighting. A pure white object briefly pokes out of the woods. The supposed ghost video is low resolution and could be almost anything from a flashlight to wildlife. It looks weird, but I'm not exactly convinced he didn't just throw something himself. Exploring an abandoned apartment building has gone wrong for these ghost hunters in Bangladesh.
Kitchen, এটা আরেকটা রুম, এটার হচ্ছে বড় রুম আছে আরো। আমরা এখন
In the corner of the room stands a figure with long black hair over its eyes that sends them running out of the building. It's freaky, but it looks more like somebody wearing a store-bought costume than a ghost sighting. It's creepy, but I'm not quite convinced that it's a real apparition. Are you? A man in Malaysia is being haunted by a paranormal activity that stays right outside his home. He has the door partially open to show that there's not anyone knocking on his door. When he opens the door fully, it's gone, but only until nightfall. When he goes to look outside, nothing is there. Nothing except for this bizarre sighting in the distance.
Baru terjadi sekarang nih, Bob.
If you were thinking this is a ray of light reflecting into the camera, so did I, but that same night he claims the figure looked at him through the window, and here you can see its hooded face with large, hollow, black eyes. The fact that this is an image when the rest is video makes me think this is a Photoshop that he doesn't have the editing skills to make into a video, but seeing this makes me want to look over my shoulder at the window behind me nonetheless. A man finally feels like he's caught paranormal evidence of his haunted basement.
Guys, I'm just cooking some food, watching the game today. I was just down in my basement and the scariest thing that happened to me. I was down there and... Holy, did you guys just see that? You guys saw that I just had those plates right there.
When he looks at the home security system, this sweeping shadow figure is what he's caught on tape. I'm not sure what to make of this, because the thought of seeing a shadow person in the basement is really creepy. This shadow figure could be CGI, but the uploader hasn't said a word if so. Do you think it's real? Late night CCTV footage has caught a possibly real ghost sighting at this YouTuber's place of work. Out of the shadows emerges a mysterious pale apparition that seems to briefly look into the room as it walks back into the shadows. It wears a white dress with an extra small waist that was popular during the 1800s. The uploader later found out this place used to be an old Victorian orphanage, so the look of the ghost does coincide with the history of the haunted building. Whether or not you believe him will determine how eerie this footage is. I believe him though. A few moments of creepy CCTV video is enough to convince a convenience store manager that their place of work is haunted. He sees a single demonic footprint, but I'm not sure how truthful he is being. It looks to me like something dropped from above and splattered on the floor. I see a ladder nearby, so maybe they were painting, or at least I hope so. A strange and mysterious sighting on a doorbell cam has left this Los Angeles resident frightened. Their 5 a.m. visitor is seen through, and at times straight up invisible. Plus, listen to how the audio skips when it passes by. Since paranormal energy is known to make cameras malfunction, I think this could be a real ghost sighting video. 3 friends know of a haunted abandoned place in Egypt that needs exploring. Little do they know how wrong their paranormal investigation will have gone by the end of that night. Fresh writing on the wall that gives them pause. It might be a warning of sorts or maybe a puzzle. They spend quite some time trying to figure it out and never manage to. What does it say? That's when they think they hear something upstairs, something that can mimic their movements. They go upstairs to confront it and hear a noise at the bottom of the steps where they just were. As they turn around, there's a wall full of handprints marking where people were trying to get away from something. At the bottom are 2 floating white eyes. They are checking out more red handprints when their paranormal investigation somehow gets even creepier. A jinn's figure fills the doorway on the top floor. They run down the steps fast, and seconds later, the slow-moving figure somehow passes by them again. Well, they are looking up where it was last spotted. With a flip of his scarf, the bravest of all sets forth to the exit and is almost touched. Here is a still image of the Jin's face taken at 9 minutes and 46 seconds. I think it might be a mask, but what if it's really a weird misshapen face? They say this is real. Should we believe them? Real ghost sighting videos are hard to find, but a ghost sighting caught on your head is something I've never ever seen before until now. And on a motorcycle too. A motorcycle rider is just as surprised as you and I to find a highly acrobatic ghost is standing on the head of the rider in front of them. There's no way that this is a real person because they are too small and would simply fall off. Similarly, it's not something he attached to his helmet because the wind resistance would rip him off his bike. I want to say this is computer effects, but the way the light reflects off the strange object looks real. Whatever it is, I think it's real and it was caught on tape. I want to believe it was a ghost, but at the same time this one's a little too bizarre. A suspicious looking man is all eyes as he creeps up to a luxury hotel room in India. At 22 seconds, the intruder looks into the window and contemplates doing something terrible to whoever's inside. His hand goes up to his mouth like he's uncertain. Maybe he is having a change of heart, but more realistically, he's probably noticing how many cameras there are in this hotel and finding someplace else. Even though he doesn't follow through, this is probably one of the creepiest looking disguises I've seen someone wear. I can only imagine how terrified hotel workers were when whoever was inside complained and they checked the cameras only to see floating eyes. Hopefully he never comes back. A creepy video's freaking out fans of a celebrity in India named Riya Chakraborty. She's like in the hotel room she's been staying to living in a horror film. Creepiest of all is this sentence that reads, "This is my third room change. Electrical problems could explain. Problems from the first room, maybe the second, but 3 times is a bit much." Assuming the hotel staff checked the rooms for problems beforehand, which you think they would do, especially for a celebrity, then you have to wonder if the paranormal problem lies within her. It is possible that something within her is triggering paranormal activity while staying at a haunted hotel. I fear so. A Dutch YouTuber named Govert Sweep and his friends go well past their limits while exploring an old place in the forest that's scary enough to have them jumping at every noise, of which I'll admit there's way too many.
Absurd dat daar nu iemand boven is. Wat was dat? Was jij dat?
I've heard of a house settling, but this sounds like the opposite. Like a spooky house is ramping up in a bad way. A haunted place where everything has gone wrong long ago.
Wat was dat dan? Wie was het nou toch? Wie was het nou toch? Wie was het nou toch?
I probably would have already been out of there, but they decide to keep seeing what there is to find, which is one of the shadiest entrances to any basement I've ever seen.
Oh, nee.
They go down there long enough to record only a few seconds of footage before getting out fast and for good reason. Yes, something scary could be lurking among the rubble, but there are also structural concerns as well. The place looks ready to collapse on them, so they made the right decision because no scary ghost or creature video is worth taking that kind of risk. A kid in Russia is crossing the hall when he comes across a goblin-like home intruder that seems only to appear when the lights are off. I don't think this is real because I don't know why he would be randomly filming from this angle unless it was for something planned out. Even though this is almost certainly fake, he still does the right thing by noping out of there backwards. Forget about grabbing the camera, it's not worth the extra steps. It's early in the morning when somebody wakes up on the wrong side of the bed, and I mean that literally. The silhouette of a hand silently beckons beneath his brother's bed. The uploader of this video says the creepy shadow hand appeared one morning without warning and that it's real. I guess he was too afraid to go under the bed and find out what it was because the video ends then and there. Can't say I blame him. Hopefully somebody is holding their arm over the bed to create an illusion with their shadow of a hand reaching out, because otherwise this is just beyond creepy. Mark Bennick from the Netherlands has caught what he calls a real scary ghost video on tape, paranormal evidence that he claims is the best, most undeniable proof of the other side. He and a friend named Luke go exploring an abandoned farmhouse that's beyond creepy even in broad daylight. The inside feels off and continues to give them every impression that the place is haunted. Eventually, they come across basement steps leading deeper inside. Going down them is a big mistake.
Luke. Holy. Dit is zo extreem erg.
He finds Luke hunched over, gasping for breath, and soon he is not feeling too good himself.
Shit. Dit is zo extreem erg.
The investigation ends early. Something got them down there, but they don't know what. They suspect this is the best paranormal evidence ever recorded, but it probably has to do more with being in an abandoned basement with not so good air quality. To further prove my point, Luke, who is down there slightly longer, probably breathed in more tainted air and seemed to have gotten the worst of it out of them both. Or maybe that's also the way it worked with paranormal energy too. We'll never know for sure. The point is, exploring abandoned houses is more risky than you'd think for many reasons aside from the paranormal, so I would never recommend doing it yourself. Cat videos can only be this creepy when they're from Russia. They leave the cat on the bed and go into the living room, which they think is haunted, and put down the camera. Caught on tape is some strange activity, perhaps paranormal, or really weird things to say the least. One of them is behind the chair moving things. I'm sure some will say,
Я не боюсь. Вдруг там что-то заснялось, но нельзя. Ты давай теперь убирай. Я оставил, ты убирай.
I thought the same thing, but when I first showed them walking into the room at 1 minute and 2 seconds, you and I both get a glimpse under the chair. Nothing is there. Did they crawl under the camera after they put it down, or is something supernatural haunting the house like they claimed? A man steps out of his sandals before going into the house for a bit. Well gone. To his amazement, his shoes are caught on a home security camera moving on their own. The movements are subtle at first, but soon it becomes clear that his footwear is going for a walk by itself. I thought maybe he was using a string under the front door, but it can't be that explanation because the sandals actually move away from the door. I think this video might be edited because there's always a loading icon shortly before the sandals move. Maybe they are secretly pausing the video to move the objects themselves and then recording again. I honestly don't know enough about this particular security camera to know for sure, so if you have this model then let me know if my instincts are correct. A number of scary viral Russian 3 a.m. videos uploaded by Rostelman has everyone spooked, including himself. He wants someone to explain this mysterious event. He keeps going through night after night, so let's help him out. This window is taking some serious punishment from an unseen force and at times sounds ready to break. one night, he can take it no more and makes one crucial mistake. He invites it inside. I myself would probably get reinforced steel bars installed on that window before opening it, but I guess he was trying to get a better look at whatever it was, and before you say he should have gone outside to see what it was, keep in mind it's late at night and freezing cold in Russia, so I wouldn't be in a hurry to confront this paranormal entity either. Bell Tower Bat lives in a haunted hotel that's built upon a series of tunnels that are haunted as well, so she decides to go ghost hunting with the TikTok app and see what reality ripple shows her. The first thing she notices are a couple antique bottles that seem to have a ghost attached to them. It's an all-black aura that is far different from the psychedelic colors that are usually displayed. Now it's time to leave her room and see what else her ghost hunting app has to show her. She doesn't see anything for the rest of the video until she gets to the very last haunted hallway. A ghostly shadow figure looks at her down the hall and sends her the other way. The reality ripple is still on, so if this was a living person, it should be an orange or purple color. Instead, the shadow person is devoid of color, so either this video was edited, or else it's a real ghost sighting on TikTok. Earl Quest is certain that his mirror and his house is haunted because he is always seeing weird things in it out of the corner of his eye. Finally, one day he's had enough and decides to simply record behind him to figure out once and for all what exactly his haunting mirror is trying to show him. Imagine his surprise when his own reflection turns around. Actually, he isn't surprised at all, and that seems like the strangest thing about this video when you think about it. Most people would drop the camera and run screaming if they saw this, but he just keeps the same face like it's no big deal, which doesn't sound like a realistic reaction to me. This TikTok video, while scary, must not be real because he doesn't even so much as look back at his reflection. This door manages to stay open for 5 full seconds before slowly swinging shut for some reason, and I want to know why. It's a lightweight door, so maybe his house isn't level, and that's why his door is shutting like that. Or maybe I just don't want to believe that his house is haunted after all. So is this an unlevel house or something paranormal? A son who is too young to tell time keeps coming into his parents' room at 3 a.m. to tell them that something is in the room with him. They think it's weird, so they set up cameras all around the house, and sure enough, at 3 a.m. they catch these broad, scary faces that lean in and look directly at the camera. I'm really hoping that this is a mask, but without a closer video, we will never know for sure. JB records paranormal activity on TikTok when his car door opens by itself and an orb appears. The car door opens even wider and then you see a black orb fly past. It seems like it could be paranormal until you look at the trees blowing and realize the car door probably blew open because it was a windy day. The first orb was probably a lens flare coming off from the car door, and the second black orb looks like the shadow of a bird flying by. So well over 6,000 people are saying this is a scary video. I would agree unless you look a little more closely a second time. Adrian is eating dinner at home when a creepy hand with long slender fingers reaches up to his window. The video stops right before the creature pulls the curtain to reveal itself to the unsuspecting protecting family. Before the monster reaches its hand out, you can kind of see that its silhouette is about the size of a normal person. So while this TikTok video is creepy, I doubt it's real. Mina is making a TikTok video home alone when the door behind mysteriously creaks open to reveal an empty room on the other side. You can see she looks slightly confused but not scared as she turns around and then back again. This looks like a paranormal video at first, but look again, follow the top of the door, and you'll see that it's slightly ajar at the very beginning of the video, so this is probably just a draft blowing it open the rest of the way. Ashley uses the reality ripple in her room and realizes one of her dolls is haunted. She is able to see a little ghost attached to the doll itself. In this still picture, you can see her blonde hair and also kind of see a scary face on the ghost girl as well. A haunting expression permanently locked in a screen. Two friends unlock the door to an unfinished attic and step inside. Their single flashlight briefly shines across a mattress that nearly takes up the entire space. As they ponder what all of this means, a force pushes them over and the room goes dark. When the flashlight kicks back on, one of them gets off the ground on unsteady feet.
What's wrong?
Just go. What? Just go. Go?
I think there's a possibility they could be acting. But then again, maybe a spirit is bound to the mattress and doesn't take kindly to intruders. You can expect to see a lot of new scary doll videos on TikTok because the reality ripple has made it easy to separate the haunted dolls from normal ones.
So y'all, today I decided to go into a thrift store to see if any of their was haunted, and check this out. Oh, no.
This doll looks no different than the 8 other dolls around it, and yet it glows with a faint orange hue to indicate that it's cursed. If the reality ripple was simply a face scanning filter, then I see at least 2 other dolls that should have set it off. Instead, this filter must be tracking something else, perhaps an electromagnetic energy of some kind. Amber sees a ghost on TikTok while using a new ghost hunting tool called Reality Ripple. It's a TikTok filter that creates psychedelic colors around people in the paranormal as well. Soon colors flash when no one is there, and it looks like a ghost is in the hall with Amber and her friend. It happens for a few seconds and then it's gone, or so they think. A part of the corner remains an odd color and stays with them like a ghost is lingering nearby.
What's that?
It's right there. You can see it in the corner. Oh my god. Right there. Do you see it?
Yes, bitch.
Okay, we're gonna go pee.
Okay, I'm gonna stay here.
Sometime later, Amber is by herself when a passing chill leaves her legs freezing cold. She opens TikTok, and when she looks up, a wave of energy ripples through her and registers on the chair as a shadow person.
It feels like my leg is ice cold right now. Like I already got up earlier because it felt like something was like ice cold laying on my legs.
Not only do I see the legs, but I can see the head and maybe even a scary face too.
I cannot.
Do you hear that?
Eerie Safari 13 and their friend hear a mysterious knocking on the door of the laundry room. Listen again.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that?
That's not a washing machine, that's knocking. They go to the door and there's nothing there as far as I can tell, but that doesn't mean there isn't a ghost in the hallway haunting them. When they go up to the door, it stops, but that just makes this TikTok video even scarier in my opinion, because it's like the ghost is messing with them. A TikTok user named He Watches When I Sleep records a ghost wailing up and down his street in the middle of the night. He lives in the southwest and is sure it is the spirit of La Llorona, the vengeful spirit who hovers over water late at night. You can hear some other dogs in the background though, so I'm wondering if this was just a really old dog trying to howl. Poncho is patrolling his campus as a security guard when he and his partner see some strange activity coming through the window. The lights are flashing on and off at the same time in every last room on the first floor. It looks like they are standing outside documenting the event instead of rushing straight in, and you know what, I don't blame them, because I would definitely wait for backup if I saw this too, or maybe I would try to find some non-haunted places to work at instead. Todd Peterson has been experiencing some paranormal activity in his doorway, so he decides to try and see if he can record it on camera. When he locks his bedroom door, you can clearly see that there is no string attached to the lock. The door does not open easily and requires some force to push. He takes 4 large steps away from the door and holds the camera steady. Just when he is starting to give up hope, he finally gets the evidence he needs to prove he hasn't lost his mind. The entire video is less than a minute long and has absolutely no editing. There's just no way to fake this video in my opinion, but if you think you have an alternative explanation, please let me hear it. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.